Well, how about that? The number 12 Oregon Ducks just went into Columbus, Ohio, and shocked the college football world, picking up a 35-28 victory over the number 3 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm going to be giving a recap of this game, my thoughts from both sides of the ball, and going over how this impacts both Oregon and Ohio State moving forward the rest of the season, and how this potentially can impact the college football playoff race. Before I get to my thoughts on today's game and all that stuff I just mentioned, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications if you're brand new to the channel. I'm posting college football content almost on a daily basis over here, so if you love college football content, this is definitely the place for you. And drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know how surprised you were by Oregon, how surprised you were by Ohio State. Let me know your guys' thoughts on what this game means for the rest of the college football season. So yeah, let's get to the game first and foremost. As I mentioned, Oregon picks up the 35-28 victory. Now, when talking about MVPs of this game, we got to start with CJ Verdell. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal for Oregon. 161 rushing yards on 20 carries, had 2 rushing touchdowns, had a 77-yard rushing touchdown. And he also added 3 receptions for 34 yards, 1 touchdown through the air as well. So he was essentially doing it all for the Oregon offense. Anthony Brown, the quarterback, he was a guy in the past week, if you've been watching my videos, I was a little hard on him. I was saying that Anthony Brown is a good quarterback, but I don't think he's the kind of guy that can lead Oregon to the next level. I don't think he's the kind of guy that could potentially lead them to the college football playoff. And he surprised me today. I was very impressed with Anthony Brown. Threw for 236 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, added 65 yards on the ground. Wasn't perfect by any means. He did have a few mistakes, but he was making crucial and clutch plays for the Oregon Ducks when needed. And overall, I was just very impressed with his overall performance. It's crazy thinking about Oregon. They scored 35 points. Now, granted, again, CJ Verdell was a main factor in regards to that, but CJ Verdell led all Oregon receivers in catching. He had 3 receptions. No other Oregon receiver had more than 2 catches, but looking at this, it looks like about 11 or 12 different players caught a pass, so they were spreading the wealth around, but no one really stepped up in the receiving game, which I think kind of makes it that much more impressive from Anthony Brown that he was, spreading the ball out so well. I'm going to be interested to see how Anthony Brown, how he improves moving forward, because again, I think this Oregon team, I think they have the talent to reach the college football playoff. I just had questions with Anthony Brown, but if he's able to perform like this, on a week-to-week basis, I think Oregon potentially can make a run. Going over to the other side, Ohio State, CJ Stroud, you look at his line, 484 passing yards, 35 completions, 3 passing touchdowns. But overall, I just was kind of underwhelmed with his game. It's kind of crazy to say when a guy throws for 500 yards, has 3 passing touchdowns, but CJ Stroud had multiple plays where he just cost the team. He overthrew guys on multiple occasions, especially Garrett Wilson early in the fourth quarter. I believe there was 7 minutes or something like that, or maybe there was 10 minutes left. He had a wide open touchdown to Garrett Wilson and simply overthrew him. And there were multiple times throughout the game he just didn't connect with a wide open receiver. Granted, it's only his second career start, but in a game like this with so much on the line, these are the plays you got to make. And unfortunately, CJ Stroud couldn't make all the plays. But overall, for the most part, the offense, they still had times where they looked dominant, they looked unstoppable. And, for the most part, they did what they needed to do. It's just that CJ Stroud, he wasn't able to make every single play that was needed out of him. But major props to Oregon's defense. I mean, this was a defense that was without Kayvon Thibodeau, arguably the best player in all of college football. And for the first 3 quarters, especially in the first half, Oregon held Ohio State down. They only allowed a touchdown in the first half. Through the first 3 quarters, they only allowed 14 points. But especially in the final, 5-6 minutes, they really held down the fort. Ohio State couldn't really get anything against them. And Oregon's defense stepped up and made big-time plays. So I was very impressed with Oregon's defense. We knew last week they had a great showing against Fresno State. It was the offense that kind of laid an egg. But this Oregon defense looks really good through the first 2 weeks of the season. And if you're going to make any sort of noise in the college football playoff hunt, you have to have an amazing defense. And I really think Oregon has a legit defense. We just needed to see it from the offense, and we saw it today. So what a performance from Oregon. Ohio State, we knew their defense was shaky coming into it, and over the last 3 quarters, they allowed Oregon to score 35 points. Oregon had nearly 500 yards of total offense. I mean, that's just not something you can have. Looking at it right now, Oregon had 505 yards of total offense. Now, Ohio State had 612 yards of offense. Again, you look at that and you think, Oregon's defense wasn't that good if they're allowing 600 yards, but watching the plays, watching the times, they stepped up when it mattered most, and Oregon just played better defense than Ohio State did. So what a performance from Oregon. I was very impressed, again, especially when it mattered most, because Ohio State had their chances. Ohio State had their chances to tie the game, potentially take the lead, and they just couldn't capitalize. So what a game. Interesting on both fronts, but let's talk about what this means for both of these teams moving forward. Oregon, they were number 12 coming into the game. They're probably going to hop up, you'd have to assume, to the top 5. You beat the number 3 team on the road, you have to assume that you're going to move into the top 5. And all of a sudden, just like that, Oregon is in the driver's seat in regards to reaching the college football playoff. Looking at the remainder of their schedule, they got Stony Brook, Arizona, Stanford, Cal. Those are the next 4 games. Those are all going to be wins. They do have to go on the road to UCLA. That might be a tough game, but Oregon should win that one. Then you got Colorado, Washington State, Washington. Again, 3 very winnable games. The Washington game might be a little difficult. They're probably their toughest game the remainder of the season is going to be on the road at Utah, their second to last game of the season. That's probably going to be the toughest game, but looking at the schedule, Oregon very easily can go undefeated, and if they go undefeated, win the Pac-12 championship, Oregon is going to be one of 4 teams in the college football playoff. I mean, it's as easy as that. Their schedule is very easy the rest of the way. I don't see them losing any of these games. So again, if Oregon's able to take care of business and win out, they're going to be one of the 4 teams in the college football playoff. Now, things get very interesting for Ohio State, because assuming Oregon's able to win out, assuming Alabama's able to go all the way through, potentially Georgia, being in the hunt, Clemson being in the hunt, not to mention teams like maybe Iowa, Iowa State, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Ohio State, granted, I still think they have a solid chance, but things are going to get very interesting for the Buckeyes later in the season. Now, just like Oregon, Ohio State's schedule isn't insanely difficult. You look at their schedule, they got a game against Maryland, at Indiana. They do have Penn State, but they got Penn State at home, so that'll be a tough one, but luckily they have home field advantage there, and they close the season on the road in Michigan, so nothing really that stands out here too much. It's that Penn State game. The Penn State game is probably going to determine Ohio State's season, so they're going to have to win out. They're going to have to win the Big Ten championship. But just like that, Ohio State, who many thought pretty much was going to be one of the 4 near guarantees to reach the playoff, they're going to need some other teams to potentially help them out, or they're going to have to win out in dominant fashion, have some other teams help them out in the long run. So I think right now, Oregon probably has a better shot of reaching the college football playoff than Ohio State does. But again, looking at Ohio State's schedule, there's still so much left in the regular season. A lot can happen, and I think Ohio State's going to be fine, but their chances aren't as strong today as they were yesterday. So what a game, again, from both teams. This is huge for Oregon. This is huge for the Pac-12. What a boost for the conference. They desperately needed it after last week when Washington lost to Montana. But between UCLA's win last week, Oregon's win this week, the Pac-12 has probably been the most impressive conference to start the college football season, especially if Oregon's able to get to the college football playoff, because we know the Pac-12 hasn't had much success ever since the college football playoff started a few years back. So great win from Oregon, not so great performance from Ohio State, but again, they'll bounce back. I think they'll be just fine, but I think their playoff chances went from probably maybe like 85-90% to maybe about 50%, and 50% might be generous, because again, you have to think Alabama's guaranteed a spot, Georgia's looking like they're probably going to be guaranteed a spot nearly if they keep this up, Clemson's still going to be in the hunt, Oregon should be in the hunt, and not to mention all those other teams that I talked about just a minute ago. So it'll be interesting to see how this impacts the college football playoff race moving forward. Ohio State, they have some things they got to work on. I wasn't impressed with how they looked against Minnesota, and I wasn't impressed with how they looked today. So looking forward, the rest of their schedule, games like Penn State, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, just a heads up for Ohio State. They might have to be an upset watch for those games. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think this means for the playoff race. If you think Ohio State's playoff chances took a massive hit, or if you think they're going to be just fine, or whether or not you think Oregon is a legitimate playoff team and Oregon has a strong chance of reaching the college football playoff. Again, if you guys haven't done so yet, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and click that subscribe button turn on those notifications if you love college football. I'm posting college football content every day the rest of the college football season. A lot coming your way. So again, if you love college football content just like this is definitely the place for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And again, interact in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts, reply to other people's comments. I'll be interacting with you guys the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, I will see you guys in my next video.